At the corner of F and 9th Streets in Washington, D.C., across the street from the National Portrait Gallery, is located one of the capital's hottest museums. Inside its glass cases are some of the Cold War's best-kept secrets. Since the facility opened in the summer of 2002, crowds have lined the streets waiting for a glimpse inside the International Spy Museum. The museum's executive director, Peter Ernest, knows his business. He spent 36 years working for the CIA, recruiting agents for the U.S. to be based in Eastern Europe.
The Cold War was very much an intelligence war. And there was a vacuum of information for the public about what many of those things were. And so Hollywood filled that vacuum and created a whole other world, the James Bond world, and that formed the public impression of what espionage was. And what the museum is about is paying some deference to that. About 5% of the collection is pop culture and that world, but the rest of it is about the reality of espionage.
On a tour of the museum, Ernest showed off some of his favorite Bond-like spy devices. Like the Coda used in East Berlin, equipped with a micro camera lens and a button and a shutter control switch in the pocket.
It was a winter coat. This was concealed in the pocket. When I had the target or the person we were trying to photograph in range, then I simply clicked off the shutter. That lens blinks and you only see it if you're staring right at it. It's a very, very artfully concealed lens. Now today the lenses are small enough that they can actually be put into a tie tack, so that somebody's wearing a tie, you have no idea that that actually conceals a camera lens.
One section of the museum features the history of bugging devices, a trend that began during World War II with bugs the size of baseballs and has evolved to microphones that are nearly microscopic.
We often hear about people discussing bugs, and of course years ago, and particularly in the early years of the James Bond films, was the idea of having a bug in an olive in a martini so that something could be overheard at a table where two people were talking. And what you see here is the evolution of the bug. And what's happened, of course, is it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and more sensitive.
There's a spy kit used by the East Germans during the 1970s against the Americans. There are various examples of lock-picking kits, both American and Russian, various weapons of assassination, and devices used to open mail and secretly read letters. There's escape and evasion spy gadgets, examples of how spies can disguise themselves, and a crowd favorite, a single-shot lipstick gun called the Kiss of Death. There's even a camera from World War I that was flown over enemy territory by a picture-taking reconnaissance pigeon. While most of the gadgets are real, museum officials say it's the image of fictional spies like James Bond that keeps people lined up around the block waiting to get inside.